Chapter 11 Qin Yun awakens a forbidden god spirit. For centuries, the strongest warriors were chosen by fate. Kings rose because of their martial spirits. Empires fell because of them. And legends were born from them. But there were also whispers of powers so terrifying, they had been erased from history itself. Tonight, inside the legendary Hua Ling Wu Academy, one forgotten prince was about to awaken something forbidden. The weakest prince awakens a forbidden god spirit. Part 1. The Academy of Monsters. The academy stood beside the roaring Cloud Dragon River, like an ancient beast sleeping beneath the mountains. Cold winds swept through the stone towers. War banners moved silently in the air. And inside the awakening classroom, the future elites of the empire gathered. Young geniuses, noble heirs, future generals, future killers. Every student carried pride in their eyes. Every student, except one. At the back of the room sat Qin Yun. Silent, motionless, watching. The abandoned prince. The boy whose spirit veins were stolen. The boy the empire threw away. Yet despite everything, his eyes still burned with life. Part 2. The Stairs. Whispers spread across the classroom. That's Qin Yun. I heard he was crippled. How is trash like him even here? Mockery filled the room. But Qin Yun ignored every word. Because humiliation no longer hurt him. He had suffered far worse. Across the classroom, Yi Weishuan watched him coldly. A genius born into greatness. Unlike Qin Yun, he had never tasted despair. To him, Qin Yun wasn't a rival. He wasn't even worth noticing. Part 3. The Tower. At the center of the room stood the spirit channeling tower. Ancient, transparent, covered in mysterious runes. Beside it stood Yang Xiyu. Beautiful, cold, untouchable. When she spoke, the room fell completely silent. Martial spirits decide destiny. Her calm voice echoed through the chamber. Most awaken elemental spirits. Fire, water, wind, ice. Rare warriors awaken beast or weapon spirits. A pause. Then her eyes darkened slightly. But the rarest of all are legendary spirits. The students leaned forward instantly. Sound, space, life, transformation, time. These are powers capable of changing the world itself. Part 4. The Impossible Record. Then Yang Xiyu slowly looked toward Qin Yun. There is also an ancient record. One most people believe is merely a myth. The atmosphere became tense. It says, if someone with a one-sun spirit vein awakens a martial spirit, that spirit may surpass ordinary laws. Shock spread across the room. Because everyone knew one thing. A one-sun spirit vein was considered useless. Weak. Hopeless. Yet somehow, Qin Yun had survived. Part 5. Qin Yun's pain. Qin Yun slowly stood, walking toward the tower. Each step felt heavy. And as he walked, memories returned. The Empress smiling while destroying his future. The nobles laughing at his weakness. The agony of losing his spirit veins. For 5 years, he lived like a discarded shadow. But tonight, everything would change. Part 6. The Interruption. Suddenly, boom, a terrifying shockwave exploded from the classroom next door. The walls trembled violently. Desks shook. Several students screamed. Even the spirit tower flickered strangely. Yang Xiyu's expression changed instantly. That aura, a legendary spirit. Without hesitation, she rushed outside. The classroom erupted. A legendary awakening. Quick, we have to see it. Students rushed out in panic and excitement. Within seconds, the classroom became empty, except for Qin Yun. Part 7. The Secret Beginning. Now alone, Qin Yun slowly placed both hands onto the tower. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then, the tower began trembling. A deep vibration echoed through the room. Flames burst from the tower windows. The air became scorching hot. Qin Yun's eyes widened. A fire spirit. But then, another energy appeared. Dark, cold, violent. The room temperature suddenly dropped. Candles flickered wildly. And the tower shook harder. As if afraid. Part 8. Two Spirits. Inside Qin Yun's dantian, two separate energies awakened. One burned like divine flame. The other pulsed like a living abyss. Qin Yun's breathing stopped completely. Two martial spirits. Even ancient legends barely mentioned dual spirits. Yet inside him, two terrifying powers had awakened simultaneously. Part 9. The Black Tower. Then Qin Yun opened his eyes. And his blood ran cold. The spirit channeling tower had turned black. Not dark purple, not shadowy gray. Pure black. A darkness so deep, it felt endless. The entire tower vibrated violently. Cracks slowly spread across its surface. Qin Yun stepped backward instinctively. Fear rising in his chest. Because the tower didn't look like it was reacting. It looked terrified. Part 10. Forbidden Fear. For the first time in years, Qin Yun felt genuine fear. Not because he was weak, but because he sensed something ancient inside that darkness. Something alive. A faint whisper echoed inside his mind. Ancient, unclear, unnatural, and deep within the black spirit, a pair of invisible eyes seemed to open. Qin Yun's heartbeat exploded. What are you? Part 11. The Secret. Instantly, Qin Yun understood one thing. If anyone discovered this spirit, they might not call him human anymore. They might call him cursed. Forbidden. A demon. So he made a decision. No one would learn about the black spirit. No one. Part 12. The Return. Moments later, students flooded back into the room. Excited voices echoed everywhere. A silver soundwave spirit. That's legendary. The Zhang family is going to rise. Even Yang Xiyu looked shaken. Then suddenly, she turned toward Qin Yun. Did you awaken your spirit? Qin Yun answered calmly. A fire martial spirit. The room instantly relaxed. Just fire. How disappointing. But Yang Xiyu narrowed her eyes. Test its rank. Part 13. Purple Gold Explosion. Qin Yun touched the tower once more, and released only the fire spirit. For 1 second, silence consumed the room. Then, boom, purple gold flames exploded from the tower like a volcanic eruption. The classroom was drowned in divine light. Students screamed and shielded their eyes. Several stumbled backward in terror. The flames rose like dragons. The air itself distorted. Yang Xiyu's cold expression shattered completely. Purple gold. A purple gold fire spirit. The legendary peak. The highest possible rank. Part 14. Fear is born. The classroom became deathly silent. Nobody dared speak. Nobody dared breathe loudly. Even Yi Weishuan looked shaken. Because the weakest prince had just awakened the strongest spirit in the room. And deep down, everyone understood something terrifying. Qin Yun was no longer ordinary. Part 15. Envy. But pride is difficult to kill. He still only has one spirit vein. He'll never become truly powerful. What a waste. The students mocked him again, trying desperately to hide their fear. But Qin Yun no longer cared. Because only he knew the truth. The purple gold fire spirit was only half of his power. Part 16. The Ancient Response. Far beneath the academy, deep underground, inside forgotten ruins untouched for centuries, something suddenly awakened. Ancient chains rattled. Dust fell from the ceiling. And in the darkness, a massive pair of eyes slowly opened. A deep voice echoed through the ruins. Ancient, heavy, terrifying. The forbidden spirit has returned. The empire believed Qin Yun was merely surviving. But destiny had already chosen him. Not to become a warrior. Not to become a king. But to become something far more terrifying. Chapter 12. Qin Yun, the Mystic Mark. In a world where power decides everything, there is one truth no one tells you. Some knowledge doesn't just make you stronger. It changes what you are. And tonight, inside the legendary Hua Ling Wu Academy, a broken prince is about to touch something that was never meant to be awakened. The Mystic Mark, the knowledge that breaks reality. Part 1. Classroom silence. Silence. Then whispers. Then judgment. The classroom was full of geniuses, nobles, future warriors. And in the corner, Qin Yun, the discarded prince, the one no one expected to survive. But today, something was different in his eyes. Not fear, not anger. Focus. At the front stood Yang Xiyu. Cold, perfect, unshakable. But even she didn't know. This lesson would change everything. Part 2. The lesson begins. Her voice cut through the room. Inner force cultivation is the foundation of all martial power. Short pause. Without it, your martial spirit means nothing. That line hit harder than a weapon. Every student stiffened. Because it was true. Part 3. System of power. Yang Xiyu continued. Spirit power control. Inner energy circulation. Martial techniques synergy. Each sentence equals a rule of survival. But Qin Yun stayed silent. Because he didn't have any of it. No technique. No inheritance. No support. Just broken foundations. Part 4. Mockery returns. A voice broke the silence. Then another. He has nothing. No inner technique. Basically already dead in cultivation. Laughter spread. Controlled. Cruel. But Qin Yun didn't react. Because something inside him had already stopped breaking. It had started adapting. Part 5. The problem. Yang Xiyu spoke again. More serious now. Without an inner force method, your cultivation collapses. Silence. Then she looked directly at Qin Yun. And you don't have one. Part 6. The Turning Point. Qin Yun raised his hand. Calm voice. Teacher, I don't have any technique. What should I do? Instant laughter. Finished. He's done. No future. But then. Part 7. The Impossible Decision. Yang Xiyu moved. Slow. Controlled. And placed a book in front of him. Black Yang art. The room froze. That level of technique was not supposed to be given to someone like him. But she said only this. It will be enough for now. Part 8. Respect is born. For the first time, someone didn't laugh at Qin Yun. They helped him, not because he was strong, but because he was still standing. Qin Yun bowed slightly. Thank you. Simple words, but heavy meaning. Part 9. Night Transformation. That night, dormitory, silence. Others were gone. Only Qin Yun remained. He sat down, closed his eyes, and began cultivating. Part 10. Spirit Power Awakening. Energy moved. Slow at first, then faster. His consciousness sharpened. He could feel walls, air movement, distant footsteps. Spirit power finally formed. But then, Part 11. The error. It twisted. Not stable. Not normal. It started pulling inward, like something was calling it. And then, it got absorbed into the bracelet. Part 12. Secret Dimension. Boom. His mind shattered into another space. A void. Endless. Silent. Then a voice echoed. 9 Yang Divine Spirit. Activated. Qin Yun froze. This is real. Part 13. Inside the void. He looked around. A massive hidden space. Like a secret world. Then he saw it. 3 ancient scrolls. Dust covered. Forbidden. His heartbeat increased. Because something told him. This is not normal luck. Part 14. The Forbidden System. He opened the first scroll. Then second. Then third. And everything changed. Spirit marks. Profound marks. Tao marks. Ancient systems of creation. Used to forge weapons. Build formations. Control energy laws. Qin Yun whispered. This is impossible knowledge. Part 15. Realization. Then it hit him hard. If anyone learns he has this, they won't challenge him. They will erase him completely. Part 16. But instead of fear, Qin Yun smiled. Not weak. Not emotional. Sharp. Because now, he finally had something. A path. Not survival, but rise. Part 17. Deep underground. Something ancient moved. Chains cracked. Dust fell. A voice whispered. The mystic mark has awakened. Back in the academy, Qin Yun opened his eyes. And for the first time, he was no longer the same person. He was something else. Something dangerous. Chapter 13. The Forbidden Power Awakens. In a world where talent decides everything, and strength determines your fate, one boy was called trash by an empire. But inside him, something ancient was awakening. A power that should not exist. A secret that could shake the heavens. Qin Yun was about to discover. He was never ordinary. He was chosen. Part 1. The 9 Yang Spirit Secret. Qin Yun stood alone in the silence of his room. The night was heavy, but his heart was burning with determination. He stared at the mysterious bracelet on his wrist. The 9 Yang Spirit, a relic no one in the empire could understand. Inside it, 9 sealed pearls. Each one hiding a truth powerful enough to destroy kingdoms. Qin Yun narrowed his eyes. I can only unlock the first pearl for now. But one day, all 9 will open. He clenched his fists. I will not stay weak. He immediately began cultivating. The black Yang art flowed through his mind like ancient scripture. Every word, burning into his soul. His inner energy began to move. Slow, then fast, then violently unstable. But instead of collapsing, something strange happened. His energy started to beat. Like a heart. Thump, thump, thump. Qin Yun's eyes widened. This is the breakthrough. Part 2. Speed Beyond Genius. Yang Xiyu had said it would take 10 days. Maybe even months. For a normal cultivator to reach this stage. But Qin Yun had achieved it in hours. The 9 Yang spirit inside him reacted. A massive wave of energy flooded his body. His muscles tightened. His bones strengthened. His blood burned like molten fire. And then, the 9 Yang energy began absorbing from the environment. Like a storm pulling everything in. Qin Yun's breathing became heavy. This power is insane. If I can control this fully. He paused. I will surpass everyone. Part 3. Morning Awakening. The next morning, Qin Yun opened his eyes slowly. For a moment, he didn't move. Then he felt it. Strength. Real strength. His body felt reborn. He lifted his hand. A small flame appeared. Red, unstable, but alive. A faint smile appeared on his face. So this is my martial spirit. But I know, it's hiding something greater. He stood up immediately. Today was not an ordinary day. Today, the freshman competition would decide everything. Part 4: The empty classroom. When Qin arrived, he stopped walking. Silence. No students. No classmates. Only Yang Xiyu. Her expression was cold. Too cold. Qin heart tightened. Teacher, am I late? Yang Xiyu didn't answer immediately. Then she spoke. You are the only student left in my class. A pause. The air felt heavier. What happened to the others? Qin asked. They left. Her voice was sharp. Transferred. Overnight. Qin narrowed his eyes. He already understood. The Empress. She was moving in the shadows again. Part 5: The battlefield announcement. The entire academy gathered. Hundreds of students. Dozens of classes. And Qin stood alone. Whispers spread instantly. That's the trash prince. He's alone. His whole class abandoned him. This is going to be humiliating. But Qin didn't react. He simply stood still, like a blade waiting in silence. On the stage, the principal raised his voice. Now begins the class battle. The crowd erupted. Teachers stepped forward to draw lots. And when Yang Xiyu stepped up, something changed. Her eyes were ice. Not fear, not doubt, but rage. Because this wasn't a fair battle. It was a setup. A public execution disguised as competition. Part 6: War before the fight. Students from elite families laughed. Class 9 is done. One student versus entire class. That teacher must be crazy. But Qin finally spoke. Teacher, if I lose today, will you be disappointed in me? Yang Xiyu turned slightly. Her eyes locked onto his. No. Her voice was firm. But if you don't fight, then you truly are weak. A silence fell. Qin closed his eyes. Then opened them. Something inside him changed. Not fear. Not hesitation. But resolve. If the world wants to crush me, then I will break the world first. Final part. Rising storm. Wind began to move across the training ground. Unnoticed. But real. Qin stepped forward. One step. Then another. The crowd didn't understand. But something about him felt different. Dangerous. Like a storm that had just learned how to breathe. From the stands, Yi Weishuan watched silently. Why does he feel stronger than yesterday? Qin stopped at the center of the arena. He looked forward. At hundreds of opponents. And for the first time, he smiled. Let's begin. And at that moment, no one realized. This was not a class battle. This was the beginning of a legend that would shake the empire. Chapter 14. The Broken Prince Awakens. A storm swallowed the skies above Wuling Martial Academy. Lightning flashed across thousands of watching faces. Students, nobles, warriors, future generals of the empire. And at the center of the massive arena, one boy stood completely alone. No allies, no teammates, no powerful family backing him. Only whispers, only mockery, only hatred, because everyone here believed the same thing. Qin was finished. 5 years ago, the empire destroyed him. His spirit veins were stolen. His royal title erased. His future buried alive. And now, the Empress had set the final trap. Tonight's academy battle wasn't just a competition. It was an execution. But what nobody realized was that the crippled prince they mocked had already begun transforming into something terrifying. Part 1. The Empress's Master Plan. Yang Xiyu stood beside Qin, her expression colder than ever. You still don't understand, she whispered. This battle decides who survives this semester. Qin frowned. Yang Xiyu continued. The winning classes receive cultivation resources, spirit pills, martial techniques, crystal coins, special training access. But the losers receive nothing. The arena suddenly felt colder. This wasn't school anymore. This was survival of the fittest. A place where the strong devoured the weak. And suddenly, Qin understood everything. The Empress never planned to kill him immediately. No, that would have been too simple. Instead, she wanted him to slowly rot away. No resources, no cultivation, no future. Eventually, the academy itself would abandon him. And once he lost academy protection, the Empress could erase him forever. The entire academy laughs at him. The surrounding students burst into laughter. Class 9 only has one student. They'll lose instantly. The Empress completely destroyed him. He'll be expelled next semester. Every word carried poison. Every laugh carried contempt. But Qin remained silent. Because deep inside him, something darker was growing. A rage built from 5 years of humiliation. 5 years of betrayal. 5 years of being treated less than human. And tonight, that rage was beginning to awaken. Part 2. The academy strikes back. Then suddenly, boom, Principal Zhang slammed his staff into the ground. The arena instantly became silent. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. His sharp eyes swept across the battlefield. The rules have changed. The crowd froze. This year's team battles will become one-on-one duels. Shock exploded throughout the arena. Even Yang Xiyu stared in disbelief. Because everyone understood what this meant. The academy had just openly interfered with the Empress's plan. Principal Zhang's voice echoed like thunder. The rules exist to ensure fairness. And fairness will not be manipulated. For the first time in years, someone powerful had finally stood on Qin Yun's side. But even then, nobody believed he could actually win. Because the challenge was still impossible. To receive resources, Qin Yun had to defeat 2 elite opponents consecutively. While injured, while isolated, while hated by the empire itself. Part 3. The monster inside Qin Yun. Yang Xiyu lowered her voice. We can still withdraw. But Qin Yun shook his head slowly. No, I'll fight. Not for pride, not for revenge, but because this battle represented something greater. If he retreated now, he would spend the rest of his life running. And Qin Yun was tired of running. Then suddenly, he revealed his secret. My energy flow recovered. Yang Xiyu's eyes widened instantly. She grabbed his wrist, and the moment she sensed his aura, her heartbeat nearly stopped. Boom, boom, boom. Violent waves of energy pulsed beneath Qin Yun's skin like thunder. This wasn't normal circulation. This was explosive resonance. The mysterious Yang technique, a cultivation art that normally required 10 days just to begin. Qin Yun had already reached small success. In one single night, Yang Xiyu felt chills run down her spine. This level of cultivation speed should not exist. And for the first time, she realized something terrifying. Maybe Qin Yun wasn't cursed. Maybe he was destined for greatness beyond anyone's imagination. Part 4. The Ghosts of the Past. Soon, the representatives were chosen. And fate delivered the cruelest opponent possible. Yan Zongming, grandson of General Yan. The same bloodline responsible for Qin Yun's destroyed future. The same family that stole his spirit veins years ago. The moment Qin Yun heard the name, the world around him seemed to fade. He remembered the pain, the screaming, the helplessness, the cold faces watching his suffering. And suddenly, this battle stopped being about academy resources. Now, it was revenge. Part 5. The Arena of Humiliation. Qin Yun slowly walked toward the dueling platform. Tens of thousands watched him. Some mocked him openly, others pitied him. But nobody, not a single person, believed he could win. He's still a cripple. Yan Zongming will destroy him. This won't even last a minute. Yet Qin Yun continued walking forward. Calmly, silently, because the humiliation he endured for 5 years had already forged his heart into steel. Tonight, the world would finally see the result. Part 6. The Pride of a General's Grandson. Yan Zongming stepped onto the platform confidently. Arrogance radiated from every movement. Kneel before the Empress, he shouted. And I may spare you. The arena became deathly silent. Everyone waited for Qin Yun's answer. Then, Qin Yun laughed. Not nervously, not weakly, but with absolute contempt. My royal father never forced me to kneel. So what gives you the right? The audience gasped. Then Qin Yun took it even further. And your grandfather, he's just the Empress's obedient dog. The crowd erupted instantly. Yan Zongming's face twisted with murderous rage. You're dead. He raised 3 fingers slowly. 3 moves. That's all I need to cripple you forever. Part 7. The Falling Phoenix. Begin. Yan Zongming exploded forward like lightning. The arena shook. His body became a blur. Elegant. Fast. Deadly. The Falling Phoenix steps. That's a high-grade movement art. The audience roared in shock. This wasn't beginner-level combat anymore. This was the power of a true noble family genius. Yan Zongming moved like a predator hunting prey. And Qin Yun didn't move at all. He simply watched, observed, calculated. Because inside Qin Yun, something ancient was awakening. Something violent. Something unstoppable. Yan Zongming's killing strike arrived instantly. The audience held their breath. Yang Xiyu's face turned pale. And then, Qin Yun finally moved. One single step. That was all. But the moment he moved, Yan Zongming's confident expression shattered completely. Fear appeared in his eyes for the very first time. Because in that instant, he realized something horrifying. The crippled prince, standing before him, was no longer weak. Chapter 15. Fury of the Tiger King. Blood splattered across the arena floor. A scream echoed through Waling Martial Academy. And thousands of students watched in absolute horror as Yan Zongming's arm twisted unnaturally before snapping apart. Crack. The sound alone made people shiver. Nobody understood what had just happened. Moments ago, everyone believed Qin Yun would be crippled forever. But now, the so-called broken prince stood motionless in the center of the arena like an unstoppable monster. And for the first time in years, fear appeared in the eyes of the academy. Part 1. The prince they destroyed. 5 years earlier, Qin Yun had been the pride of the Tianqin Empire. A royal genius. A future ruler. Until everything was stolen. His spirit veins ripped from his body. His cultivation destroyed. His future erased overnight. And the people responsible, the empress, the royal officials, and families like Yan Zongming's. Since then, Qin Yun lived through humiliation every single day. Mocked, ignored, abandoned. But while the world laughed at him, he trained in silence. Day after day, year after year, tempering his body until pain itself became meaningless. And tonight, that suffering was finally about to explode. Part 2. The Killing Strike. Back in the arena, Yan Zongming attacked with murderous intent. His body blurred forward using the falling phoenix steps. Swoosh. In an instant, he appeared directly before Qin Yun. 2 fingers pierced toward Qin Yun's lower abdomen. The location of the elemental core. The strike contained over 5,000 jin of force. Enough to permanently cripple a cultivator. The audience gasped instantly. He's trying to destroy Qin Yun. That's not a normal dual attack. Even the senior students frowned. Because everyone knew, Yan Zongming wanted to impress the empress. And crippling Qin Yun publicly would earn him favor. Meanwhile, Yang Shiyu's face turned pale. Her hands clenched tightly, because she finally understood why Qin Yun hated the royal family so deeply. Part 3. The Body of Steel. Yan Zongming smirked confidently. Victory was already in his mind. His fingers struck Qin Yun's abdomen. And then, his smile vanished. Instead of flesh, it felt like stabbing solid iron. A terrifying shockwave exploded through his hand. Before he could react, Qin Yun grabbed his wrist instantly. The arena became silent, dead silent, because Qin Yun had not moved even a single step. He stood there like a mountain that could not be shaken. His cold eyes burned with years of rage. You're truly ruthless. His voice sounded calm, but beneath that calm, was fury strong enough to tear people apart. Part 4. The Tiger's Wrath. Then, Qin Yun twisted his arm. Crack. Yan Zongming's scream exploded across the battlefield. His arm bent unnaturally as bone shattered instantly. Students jumped to their feet in horror. Some even looked away. But Qin Yun wasn't finished. Not yet. Because 5 years of hatred still burned inside him. His fist clenched tightly. Inner energy exploded violently through his body. And then, the spirit tiger fist awakened. Boom. The sound resembled an enraged tiger roaring through the mountains. Qin Yun's fist slammed directly into Yan Zongming's abdomen. Blood burst from Yan Zongming's mouth instantly. The impact bent his body backward violently. Stop the match. A teacher rushed forward desperately. But Qin Yun's rage continued. Another punch flew forward. Faster. Heavier. Deadlier. Bang. Yan Zongming's body spun through the air before crashing off the platform unconscious. Complete silence followed. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Because the impossible had just happened. The crippled prince had annihilated a noble genius in 3 moves. Exactly as promised. Part 5. The entire academy shakes. Teachers immediately rushed toward Yan Zongming. After checking his injuries, their expressions darkened instantly. His elemental energy is collapsing. He's crippled. The arena exploded into chaos. What? Qin Yun actually destroyed him? How is his body this strong? Wasn't he seriously injured before? Even the teachers looked shocked. Because Qin Yun's control over inner energy was unbelievably refined. His attacks flowed smoothly like a veteran fighter. And his raw strength was terrifying. Then Qin Yun slowly looked down at Yan Zongming's unconscious body. Coldly. The 3 moves are over. The cripple was never me. Those words pierced through the arena harder than any punch. Because the boy everyone mocked for years had finally humiliated them back. Part 6. The Secret No One Knows. The older students quickly began analyzing the battle. That's just the spirit tiger fist. How did it become this powerful? Why didn't Qin Yun get injured? What kind of monster body does he have? Nobody knew the truth. Except Yang Shiyu. She watched Qin Yun silently. Her beautiful eyes filled with shock and admiration. Because she alone understood what happened. Qin Yun had already reached small success in the mysterious Yang technique. In one single night, his vibrating inner energy hardened his muscles like steel. Combined with his purple-gold fire martial spirit, his power became explosively stronger than normal cultivators. This wasn't ordinary talent anymore. This was terrifying genius. And Yang Xiyu realized something frightening. If Qin Yun continued growing at this speed, even the royal family might not be able to stop him someday. Part 7. The Next Storm. After leaving the platform, the crowd automatically moved aside for Qin Yun. Nobody dared mock him anymore. But before he could rest, the second round lottery began. And fate delivered an even greater danger. Class 11. Yi Weishuan, member of the Empress's bloodline. Owner of the Golden Thunder martial spirit. A true thunder genius. Unlike Yan Zongming, Yi Weishuan had already learned how to infuse lightning into his inner energy. Even senior students feared thunder-type power. Because lightning was naturally destructive, Yang Xiyu immediately warned Qin Yun. Be careful, his thunder energy is dangerous. But Qin Yun only smirked. So the Empress uses thunder power. I thought her martial spirit was a venomous snake. Several students nearly choked hearing those words. This prince truly feared nobody. Part 8. Thunder versus Tiger. Yi Weishuan stepped onto the arena confidently. Lightning crackled around his fists. Blue sparks danced through the air. The audience instantly erupted with excitement. That's thunder attributed inner energy. He already mastered part of the thunder fist. That's a true spirit-level martial art. Then Yi Weishuan smiled arrogantly. Your spirit tiger fist looks impressive. How about we exchange fists directly? The crowd burst into laughter. Because everyone knew the truth. The spirit tiger fist was considered basic. Meanwhile, the Yi clan's thunder fist was legendary. This was humiliation. A public challenge meant to crush Qin Yun's confidence. Everyone expected Qin Yun to refuse. But Qin Yun simply stepped forward calmly. His eyes burned like golden fire. And then, he answered, all right. The arena instantly exploded with shock. Because nobody expected the broken prince to challenge thunder head-on. Lightning exploded around Yi Weishuan. Golden flames surged through Qin Yun's fists. Thunder shook the arena. Heat distorted the air. The entire academy held its breath. And then, both geniuses charged at each other simultaneously. Like two monsters destined to collide. Chapter 16. The power they never saw coming. Greater than, they mocked him for having only one spirit vein. They called him weak, broken, worthless. But today, the entire academy is about to witness a monster awakening. Lightning exploding from Yi Weishuan's fist. Qin Yun walking calmly through flames. Students screaming. Yang Xiyu watching in shock. A massive fiery explosion. Greater than, one fight. One punch. And the future of Waling Academy changes forever. 9 Sun God King. The flame that crushed thunder. Part 1. The Betrayal Arena. Thousands of students surrounded the dueling platform. The air itself felt tense. Everyone knew this fight wasn't normal anymore. This wasn't just a battle between freshmen. This was pride, revenge, status, and ownership over power itself. At the center of the arena stood 2 young warriors. One radiated lightning, the other, silent fire. Yi Weishuan steps forward. Yi Weishuan cold smile. Greater than, I hope you're ready to lose everything, Qin Yun. Crackling lightning wrapped around his arm. Blue electrical energy danced through the air. The crowd instantly exploded in cheers. Because everyone recognized that technique. The legendary Thunder Shock Fist. A spirit-level martial skill. One of the strongest combat arts among freshmen. Students whispered nervously. Greater than, there's no way Qin Yun survives this. Greater than, Yi Weishuan's lightning chi is terrifying. Greater than, this match is over. Qin Yun's calm confidence. But Qin Yun didn't move, didn't panic, didn't even blink. His eyes remained cold and focused. Because deep inside him, the 9 Yang divine spirit was burning. Part 2. The match begins. An elder stepped forward. His voice thundered across the arena. Elder. Greater than, Class 9 versus Class 11, begin. Boom. The 2 fighters exploded forward instantly. Dust burst beneath their feet. Both warriors used sprint momentum to amplify their punches. The crowd held their breath. This was pure collision combat. No defense. No retreat. Only destruction. Lightning versus flame. Yi Weishuan roared. Lightning erupted from his fist. The veins on his arm bulged violently. Electricity crackled so loudly that nearby students stepped backward in fear. Then, Qin Yun attacked. And suddenly, golden flames exploded from his fist. Whoosh. The entire arena lit up. The fire wasn't ordinary. It was condensed inner chi. Pure martial spirit energy. Even the teachers stood up in shock. Crowd reaction. Student. Greater than, impossible. Another student. Greater than, that's spirit flame release. Teacher. Greater than, he cultivated the black yang art overnight. The crowd descended into chaos. Because everyone understood what this meant. Qin Yun's control over inner chi had reached an unbelievable level. His talent was monstrous. Part 3: The collision. The two fists finally met. And the world exploded. Boom. A shockwave ripped through the arena. Flames and lightning erupted everywhere. The dueling platform cracked beneath them. Students screamed as heat waves blasted across the audience. For 1 second, no one could see anything. Only fire. Only destruction. Then, a body flew out of the smoke. It was Yi Weishuan. Total defeat. He crashed violently onto the ground outside the arena. His entire body burned with flames. His arm was completely charred black. The smell of burned flesh filled the air. Teachers rushed forward immediately to extinguish the fire. But everyone already knew. His arm was ruined, destroyed, crippled. Silence consumed the arena. Nobody could believe what they had just witnessed. A spirit-level thunder fist had been annihilated by Qin Yun's spirit tiger fist. Part 4: The rise of a monster. The elder overseeing the match stared at Qin Yun in disbelief. He had witnessed countless academy battles. But never had he seen a freshman this terrifying. Elder, shaken. Greater than, Class 9, Qin Yun wins. The audience erupted. Some screamed. Some stared in silence. Others looked at Qin Yun with pure fear. Because now they finally realized something terrifying. The rumors were wrong. Qin Yun wasn't talentless. He was a genius. A terrifying genius. Jealousy ignites. Disciples from famous clans clenched their fists. Their eyes burned red with jealousy. Why? Because Qin Yun had done something impossible. Without family backing. Without resources. Without support. He crushed elite disciples effortlessly. And now, he alone would receive the resources of 2 classes. Part 5: The rewards. President Zhang approached Yang Xiyu smiling. He handed over 2 resource boxes. Inside them were treasures capable of changing a cultivator's future. 40 purple coins. 4 mid-grade Qihua pills. 2 high-level martial skills. The crowd nearly lost control. Students looked ready to explode from envy. One freshman obtaining all these resources alone. It was insane. Yang Xiyu's pride. Yang Xiyu looked at Qin Yun proudly. Earlier, she had been furious because students transferred classes. But now, she felt only satisfaction. Because those traitorous students had unknowingly created a monster. Yang Xiyu cold smile. Greater than, if they hadn't changed classes. You wouldn't have gained all this yourself. The transferred students nearly coughed blood from anger. Their greed had accidentally benefited Qin Yun. And now they regretted everything. Part 6: The beautiful teacher. As the crowd watched in stunned silence, Yang Xiyu suddenly grabbed Qin Yun's hand and walked away with him. Instantly, the male students exploded internally. Their jealousy became murderous. Because Yang Xiyu wasn't just beautiful. She was legendary, cold, untouchable. Yet now, she personally held Qin Yun's hand. The scene alone nearly shattered countless hearts. Part 7: The Empress. Rage. Far away inside the imperial palace, the Empress received news of the battle. And completely lost control. Smash. A priceless vase shattered. Smash. Tables overturned violently. Her face twisted with fury. Because everything she did to suppress Qin Yun had backfired. Instead of destroying him, she made him stronger. And now, the academy had begun recognizing his true talent. Part 8: The Secret Training Grounds. Yang Xiyu brought Qin Yun to her private residence. A peaceful bamboo mansion beside a quiet lake. The atmosphere felt calm, elegant, almost unreal. But Qin Yun wasn't focused on beauty. He was focused on cultivation. Yang Xiyu examines his power. She asked him to release his strongest inner qi. The moment he did, her eyes narrowed. Because Qin Yun's inner energy was absurdly powerful. Far beyond what a 4th-stage cultivator should possess. Yang Xiyu, serious. Greater than, your purple gold fire martial spirit might be compensating for your single spirit bane. She paused, then added quietly. Greater than, your inner qi already rivals 5th-stage cultivators. Qin Yun's heart pounded. If he reached the 5th level now, he would completely surpass the freshman generation. Part 9: A Dark Warning. But Yang Xiyu's expression suddenly darkened. She mentioned one name. Zhang Lang. A genius possessing the terrifying sonic martial spirit. A monster known for destroying opponents' brains using sound waves. Even academy students feared him deeply. Yang Xiyu. Greater than, if you encounter him, be extremely careful. Qin Yun nodded silently. But inside, his fighting spirit only grew stronger. Finally, Qin Yun entered his room immediately. Without hesitation, he swallowed 2 Qihua pills at once. Massive spiritual energy exploded through his body. Golden energy surged violently into his meridians. The 9 Yang divine spirit activated instantly, absorbing everything, refining everything, transforming everything. Qin Yun expected his cultivation to rise explosively. But then, something shocking happened. The energy vanished, disappeared completely inside his inner world. Qin Yun opened his eyes in shock. Qin Yun, whispering, "Greater than, where did all that power go?" Greater than, the deeper Qin Yun stepped into cultivation, the more terrifying the 9 Yang divine spirit became. Greater than, but what exactly was hiding inside him? Greater than, Qin Yun just crushed thunder itself. But his real battle is only beginning. Chapter 17, The Princess Who Brought Death. Greater than, after destroying the lightning genius, Qin Yun became the most feared freshman in the academy. Flames exploding across the arena. Yi Weishuan screaming in pain. Students staring in terror. Yang Xiyu watching silently. Greater than, but while the academy feared Qin Yun, greater than, someone far more terrifying, greater than, was already coming for him. Xiao Yulin, the princess of the Heavenly Roar Empire. The owner of the legendary 7 Sun Spirit Vein. A 16-year-old monster. Feared even by grown cultivators. Greater than, some called her a genius. Greater than, others, greater than, called her death itself. The Princess of Death. Part 1. The monster inside him. The academy had fallen silent. Moonlight covered the bamboo mansion. Outside, only the sound of wind moving through the trees remained. But inside Qin Yun's room, something terrifying was happening. Qin Yun sat cross-legged on the floor. Sweat covered his forehead. His breathing was heavy, because no matter how many qi refining pills he consumed, his cultivation refused to increase. Qin Yun's thoughts. Greater than, this makes no sense. Greater than, where is all the spiritual energy going? The 9 Yang divine spirit rotated slowly inside him, like a black hole, devouring everything, leaving nothing behind. Greater than, ordinary cultivators absorbed spiritual energy. Greater than, but Qin Yun's body, greater than, was consuming it. The atmosphere in the room grew heavier. Even Qin Yun began feeling uneasy. Because deep inside him, something felt alive. Part 2. The second core awakens. Qin Yun gritted his teeth, then swallowed the remaining 2 pills. Whoosh! Violent spiritual energy exploded through his meridians. Golden qi surged wildly through his body. The pressure became overwhelming. Hours passed. The night deepened. Stars covered the sky. And suddenly, Qin Yun's eyes snapped open. Shock. Disbelief. Then excitement. Qin Yun, whispering, "Greater than, so that's the truth." Deep inside his dantian, a second inner core had appeared. The first one glowed with purple gold flames, burning like a miniature sun. But the second one was black, completely black, cold, violent, unnatural. Greater than, the legendary black oscillating martial spirit, greater than, had finally awakened. For a moment, even Qin Yun felt afraid of it, because the energy inside the black core felt unstable, like destruction itself. Part 3. The invisible destruction. Qin Yun slowly walked toward a wooden table. He extended his palm carefully, then released a tiny strand of black qi. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then, boom, the entire table exploded into splinters. Wood fragments blasted across the room like bullets. The shockwave even cracked the nearby wall. Qin Yun froze completely, because he hadn't even used full power. Qin Yun stared at his own hand silently, finally understanding how terrifying this martial spirit truly was. Part 4. The hidden 5th stage. By normal standards, Qin Yun remained a 4th-level martial body cultivator. But reality had changed completely. Because now, he possessed 2 inner cores. 2 separate sources of power. When both energies activated together, his strength instantly reached the 5th-level martial body realm. Qin Yun's thoughts. Greater than, even if they test my cultivation. Greater than, they'll never know my real strength. For the first time in years, a dangerous confidence appeared in Qin Yun's eyes. Part 5. Morning with Yang Xiyu. Morning sunlight entered the bamboo mansion. Qin Yun walked into the dining hall, and immediately stopped. A massive breakfast table filled the room. Rare spiritual dishes, fresh fruits, golden tea, everything prepared personally by Yang Xiyu. Then, she appeared. Today she wore a light purple dress. Elegant, graceful, beautiful enough to make anyone lose focus. But Qin Yun quickly looked away. Because Yang Xiyu's beauty wasn't the dangerous thing about her. It was her intelligence. Yang Xiyu. Greater than, eat quickly. Then she looked at him carefully. Greater than, did you break through? Qin Yun shook his head calmly. Hiding the truth perfectly. Greater than, some secrets. Greater than, could never be revealed. Yang Xiyu sighed softly. A trace of disappointment crossed her beautiful face. Yang Xiyu. Greater than, your single spirit vein is still limiting you. But Qin Yun remained silent. Because she had no idea. He now possessed power rivaling 5th stage cultivators. Part 6. The knock that changed everything. Then suddenly, knock, knock, knock. The atmosphere changed instantly. Even the air itself felt heavier. Yang Xiyu frowned slightly. She walked toward the garden gate. But moments later, she returned with shock written across her face. Qin Yun immediately stood up. Qin Yun. Greater than, teacher, who is it? For a brief moment, Yang Xiyu hesitated, which almost never happened. Then she answered quietly. Greater than, Xiao Yulin. The room instantly fell silent. Even Qin Yun's heartbeat stopped briefly. Part 7. The name everyone feared. Xiao Yuelan. The princess of the Heavenly Roar Empire. Owner of the 7 Sun Spirit Vein. A once-in-a-century genius. At only 16 years old, she had already reached the 8th level martial body realm. A level most grown warriors could never achieve. Greater than, kingdoms respected geniuses. Greater than, but they feared monsters. Even Yang Xiyu looked cautious after mentioning her name. That alone told Qin Yun everything. Yang Xiyu. Greater than, she asked if you want to meet her. Qin Yun's thoughts raced wildly. Why would someone like Xiao Yulin seek him out personally? Humiliation, revenge, or something worse. But then, Qin Yun remembered his hidden power. The 9 Yang spirit, the twin martial spirits, the 2 inner cores. For the first time, he no longer felt inferior. Qin Yun. Greater than, let her in. Part 8. The girl Who felt like winter. The garden door slowly opened. And instantly, cold wind entered the mansion. The warm atmosphere disappeared completely. Then, she walked in. Black combat clothes wrapped around her graceful figure. A bamboo hat covered her face partially. One hand rested calmly on the sword hanging from her waist. But what terrified Qin Yun most was her aura. Greater than, she didn't walk like a princess. Greater than, she walked like someone used to killing. The room temperature dropped noticeably. Even Qin Yun's breathing slowed instinctively. Then, Xiao Yulin removed her bamboo hat. And for a brief second, even Qin Yun became stunned. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Cold silver eyes, snow-white skin, sharp delicate features, long black ponytail. A beauty so perfect, it almost didn't feel human. But behind that beauty, lurked terrifying killing intent. Real killing intent. Greater than, this wasn't beauty that attracted people. Greater than, it was beauty that warned them to stay away. Even Yang Xiyu became serious now. Because Xiao Yulin's pressure was overwhelming. Part 9. Eyes that could kill. Xiao Yulin stared directly at Qin Yun. Without blinking once. The pressure in the room intensified instantly. Qin Yun suddenly felt suffocated. Not physically, mentally. Her eyes carried terrifying sharpness. Cold, merciless, dangerous. Greater than, Qin Yun had fought powerful enemies before. Greater than, but this. Greater than, was the first time he felt true danger. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Only the sound of wind outside remained. Part of Qin Yun wanted to retreat. But another part refused. Because he was tired of bowing. Tired of fear. Tired of weakness. Slowly, Qin Yun stood up. His heartbeat thundered in his chest. But he forced himself to meet her eyes directly. Then finally, he spoke. Qin Yun. Greater than, are you here? Greater than, to kill me. Xiao Yulin's cold eyes narrowed slightly. Then, her hand slowly moved toward the sword at her waist. Shi-ng. The sound of metal echoed through the mansion. Greater than, the academy believed Qin Yun had already awakened. Greater than, but they had no idea. Greater than, his real destiny had just arrived. Chapter 18. The Princess's Warning. The Fire Cloud Steps. Part 1. The Contract of Destiny. The bamboo mansion had become completely silent. Cold wind drifted through the open doorway. Xiao Yulin stood there motionless. One hand resting calmly on the sword at her waist. Her silver eyes remained emotionless. Cold, sharp, dangerous. Qin Yun stared at her carefully. And suddenly realized something. Greater than, maybe canceling the engagement. Greater than, wasn't a bad thing after all. Because this girl didn't feel human. She felt like winter itself. Xiao Yulin speaks. Her voice was icy cold. yet strangely beautiful. Greater than, our mothers secretly arranged a marriage contract. Greater than, do you still have it? Qin Yun nodded slowly. The contract remained hidden safely inside the Nine Yang spirit space. But something felt strange. The atmosphere, the pressure, even the food in front of him suddenly felt tasteless. Then Xiao Yulin said something shocking. Xiao Yulin, greater than, keep the contract safe. Greater than, 1 year from now. Greater than, bring it to my engagement ceremony. Qin Yun frowned instantly. Qin Yun, greater than, you want to humiliate me publicly. For the first time, a trace of coldness appeared in Xiao Yulin's eyes. Xiao Yulin, greater than, humiliate you. Greater than, you are not important enough for that. The room became deathly silent. Even Yang Xiyu looked uncomfortable. Then Xiao Yulin turned toward the door. But before leaving, she stopped briefly. Xiao Yulin, greater than, if you don't come. Greater than, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. Part 2. The girl everyone feared. The door slowly closed behind her. And finally, the pressure disappeared. Qin Yun released a slow breath. Only now realizing how tense his body had become. Even Yang Xiyu looked confused. Yang Xiyu, greater than, what exactly happened to that girl? She slowly sat down, her expression unusually serious. Yang Xiyu, greater than, the Tianquan Martial Academy must have trained her brutally. Greater than, no normal 16-year-old should carry that much killing intent. Greater than, Xiao Yulin wasn't simply talented. Greater than, she had been forged into a weapon. Even Qin Yun silently agreed. Because the pressure from her eyes alone felt terrifying. But strangely, instead of fear, Qin Yun now felt motivation. Qin Yun's thoughts. Greater than, 1 year. Greater than, I'll become strong enough that nobody can look down on me again. Part 3. The Heavenly Lion Tournament. Yang Xiyu quickly changed the subject. Yang Xiyu, greater than, finish eating. Greater than, we're going to the martial arts pavilion. Then she mentioned something important. The Heavenly Lion Martial Competition. A massive tournament held once every 5 years. Where 4th and 5th level martial body cultivators fought for glory. Qin Yun's eyes instantly lit up. Because although he appeared 4th level, his hidden dual inner chi already gave him 5th level strength. Qin Yun, greater than, can I really participate? Yang Xiyu smiled faintly. Yang Xiyu, greater than, I'm not expecting you to win. Greater than, I just want you to gain battle experience. But deep inside, Qin Yun already had different thoughts. Greater than, the academy still underestimated him. Greater than, and Qin Yun intended to keep it that way. Part 4. The Martial Arts Pavilion. Soon, they arrived at the Martial Arts Pavilion. A massive 7-story stone tower standing at the center of the academy. The place radiated ancient pressure. High walls surrounded the area. Elite martial guards patrolled constantly. Even entering required strict inspection. Greater than, inside this tower. Greater than, lay techniques powerful enough to change destinies. Qin Yun looked upward silently. Even the first floor contained beginner martial arts, intermediate techniques, high-level skills, and somewhere higher in the tower, even stronger techniques existed. Yang Xiyu, greater than, if your strength is sufficient. Greater than, you can even obtain black-level techniques. Qin Yun's heart shook instantly. Because black-level martial arts were legendary. Far above ordinary spirit-level skills. Greater than, at that moment. Greater than, Qin Yun made another promise to himself. Qin Yun's thoughts. Greater than, one day. Greater than, I'll obtain a black-level cultivation technique. Part 5. The Fire Cloud Steps. Yang Xiyu stopped before a bookshelf. Then carefully removed an ancient manual. Yang Xiyu, greater than, this technique suits you perfectly. Fire Cloud Steps. A movement skill designed for fire-type martial spirits. Greater than, by using heated inner chi. Greater than, the body became lighter than air. Yang Xiyu explained calmly. Yang Xiyu, greater than, at high mastery. Greater than, it's even said this technique allows temporary flight. Qin Yun's eyes widened slightly. Flight. Even the idea sounded unbelievable. Moments later, Yang Xiyu handed him another manual. Flame Light Fist. A destructive fire-based martial art. Perfectly compatible with Qin Yun's purple gold flame chi. Greater than, one technique increased speed. Greater than, the other. Greater than, increased destruction. Part 6. The Secret of True Martial Arts. Inside a quiet study room, Qin Yun memorized both manuals carefully. Every word, every movement, every hidden note left behind by previous masters. Hours passed quickly, yet Qin Yun memorized everything perfectly. Even Yang Xiyu became impressed. After returning to the bamboo mansion, she personally began teaching him martial arts theory. Yang Xiyu. Greater than, martial arts aren't only about rank. Greater than, mastery matters even more. Then she explained the stages of mastery. Martial arts stages. Initial stage. Advanced stage. Mastery stage. Perfection stage. Great perfection stage. Greater than, most cultivators never reached perfection. Greater than, and great perfection. Greater than, was nearly mythical. Yang Xiyu looked directly at Qin Yun. Yang Xiyu. Greater than, even weak martial arts can become terrifying. Greater than, if mastered completely. Qin Yun listened carefully, because he finally understood something important. Greater than, real strength. Greater than, didn't come from talent alone. Greater than, it came from understanding. Part 7 The Genius of Comprehension. Yang Xiyu watched Qin Yun silently. The more she observed him, the more unbelievable he seemed. He had mastered the Black Yang art overnight. Awakened dual inner chi. Memorized advanced martial arts within hours. His comprehension ability was monstrous. Far beyond ordinary geniuses. Yang Xiyu. Greater than, your understanding of martial arts. Greater than, may become your greatest weapon. For a moment, even Qin Yun became thoughtful. Because for the first time in his life, someone truly believed in his potential. Finally, the path of a true monster. Night slowly returned to the academy. Wind moved through the bamboo forest quietly. Inside his room, Qin Yun stood alone. The fire cloud steps manual rested in his hands. Purple gold flames flickered softly around him. Then, black vibration chi appeared beside the flames. Two terrifying powers, existing together, growing stronger. Greater than, the academy believed Qin Yun was merely improving. Greater than, but they had no idea. Greater than, a true martial monster was being born. Qin Yun slowly clenched his fist. His eyes burning with determination. Qin Yun. Greater than, 1 year. Greater than, I'll surpass every one of them. Finally. Greater than, the Heavenly Lion tournament approaches. Greater than, new enemies are coming. Greater than, and Qin Yun's real rise. Greater than, is only beginning. Chapter 19. The Celestial Lion Pool. The morning sky over Waling Martial Academy was unusually silent. No birds. No wind. No sound of students. Only a strange pressure in the air, as if the world itself was holding its breath. And beneath that silence, a single figure stood alone in the training ground. Qin Yun. Sweat dripping from his body. Eyes closed. Surrounded by faint waves of heat distortion. Because while others slept, he trained. And while others relied on talent, he rebuilt his destiny. Part 1. The Flaming Cloud Awakening. Yang Xiyu had left earlier. But Qin Yun didn't rest. He replayed everything she taught him about the flaming cloud steps in his mind. At first, it was chaos, broken concepts, confusing energy routes, unclear movement theory. But then, something changed. As Qin Yun kept organizing the knowledge, everything slowly clicked, like a locked gate opening inside his mind. His eyes suddenly opened. I understand now. A faint smile appeared on his face. Then, he began circulating his inner chi. The body reaction. Within moments, heat surged through his meridians. Not ordinary heat, but burning spiritual fire. His body became lighter, faster, sharper, as if gravity itself was loosening its grip on him. Qin Yun narrowed his eyes. Still too slow. Right now, activation time. 30 seconds. In real battle, that meant death. I need 3 seconds. Part 2. Monster Training Mode. The sun rose higher. The 9 suns shone fiercely above the academy. And Qin Yun didn't stop. Again, and again, and again. His body moved under the blazing heat like a machine designed for destruction. Sweat poured down. Muscles burned. Breathing grew heavier. But he didn't break. Because pain was the only teacher he trusted now. And then, something unexpected happened. The stronger the sunlight became, the stronger the 9 suns' energy inside him responded. Like it was alive. The 9 suns' connection. Qin Yun felt it. The world was not empty. It was filled with energy. And his body was a bridge that could absorb it. The 9 yang divine spirit inside him began pulling energy directly from the sky. His fatigue vanished instantly. His recovery speed increased dramatically. Other cultivators would have collapsed by now. But Qin Yun kept going. Part 3. The Edge of Enlightenment. By evening, the sky turned blood red. 9 suns slowly descended like burning divine eyes. Qin Yun finally stopped. He sat down quietly, breathing heavily, but not exhausted, just thinking. What are you really? The 9 suns, are you connected to me? For the first time, he felt the world was bigger than the empire. Bigger than the empress. Bigger than revenge. Something ancient was watching him. Part 4. The beautiful but distant teacher. That night, Yang Xiyu returned. But something was different. She looked tired, yet calm. She placed food on the table silently. Spirit beast meat, herb-infused soup, medicinal dishes. Everything prepared carefully for him. Qin Yun looked at her. Teacher, where were you all day? A brief silence. Then, I was with the Academy Council. Her tone changed slightly. They want to transfer me. Qin Yun's hands paused. Transfer. They think it's a waste, for me to teach only one student. A strange silence filled the room. Not loud, but heavy. The emotional break. For the first time, Qin Yun didn't feel anger. He felt something worse. Loss. Because in this academy, Yang Xiyu was the only person who never gave up on him. And now, even she might leave. But she smiled softly. Don't worry. I convinced Dean Zhang. I'll stay until the end of this semester. Then she lowered her eyes slightly. After that, I might have to go. Part 5. Night of Unstoppable Training. That night, Qin Yun didn't sleep. Not even for a moment. He trained. Flaming cloud steps. Inner chi circulation. Footwork repetition. Again and again. Even when his body begged for rest. He refused. Because he understood something deeply. Power does not come from talent. It comes from refusal to stop. What Qin Yun didn't know was, his progress was already abnormal. In Yang Xiyu's eyes, it should have taken him 1 month. But he did it in 1 day. And this was not normal anymore. It was dangerous. Part 6. Dawn of Destiny. Morning arrived. Golden sunlight flooded the academy. This was the peak moment of Nine Suns' energy. Qin Yun immediately absorbed it. His body refreshed instantly. No fatigue. No weakness. Only energy. At that moment, Yang Xiyu appeared. Light blue dress. Calm expression. Almost divine beauty. Ready? She asked softly. Qin Yun nodded. They walked together. Toward destiny. Toward the Sky Lion Hall. Part 7. The Sky Lion Hall. The hall stood like a giant ancient beast. Golden lion statue. Towering gates. Heavy spiritual pressure. Every step forward felt like entering a different world. Yang Xiyu's voice turned serious. You can enter only if you pass the test. Only martial body 4th 5th level and above qualify. Qin Yun looked forward. His eyes sharp. Not nervous. Not afraid. Just focused. The reward. If you win first place, you can enter the Celestial Lion Pool. The moment she said it, the air changed. Even Qin Yun's expression sharpened. What is it? Yang Xiyu looked at the lion statue. The pool contains extremely violent spiritual energy. It can refine your body completely. And increase your strength dramatically. She turned toward him. Her voice became firm. So listen carefully. You must win. Finally, the massive gates of the Sky Lion Hall slowly opened. A deep rumble echoed from inside. The ground trembled slightly. And inside, hundreds of geniuses were already waiting. Suddenly, several cold eyes turned toward Qin Yun. Because news had already spread. The crippled prince had defeated Yan Zongming. And now, the real monsters had finally awakened their interest. A new battlefield was beginning. A deadlier one. To be continued. Chapter 20. The Hall of Heavenly Lions. The massive doors of the Hall of Heavenly Lions slowly opened. A deep metallic rumble echoed across the ground. Inside, a vast arena stretched like a battlefield of destiny. A sparring stage stood at the center. Surrounded by thousands of seats. And overwhelming pressure in the air, as if the building itself was alive. And walking inside, was Qin Yun, the crippled prince, everyone thought shouldn't even be alive. Yet here he was, standing inside a battlefield where geniuses were born. Part 1. The weak always enter last. Whispers spread instantly. He actually came. He only joined the academy recently. Is he crazy? This is the Heavenly Lion martial meet. Senior teachers turned their heads in disbelief. Because this wasn't a normal competition. This was a battlefield that decided future elites of the empire. And Qin Yun had barely entered the academy. Yang Xiyu stood beside him calmly. Her voice gentle but firm. You're not here to win today. You're here to experience. But Qin Yun didn't answer. Because inside him, something was already burning. Not fear, not hesitation, but quiet determination. Part 2. The Viper instructor appears. Suddenly, a cold voice echoed behind them. Teacher Yang. Yang Xiyu turned. A middle-aged woman stood there with a sharp expression. Kui Wei, jealous, hostile, and already looking down on everything around her. She glanced at Qin Yun. Then sneered. So this is your only student. You're really gambling your entire reputation on him. A few nearby students laughed quietly. But Yang Shiyu's expression didn't change. Cold, calm, dangerous. It's not a gamble. It's belief. That single line silenced the air instantly. Part 3. The principal's move. A powerful presence entered. Principal Zhang. Gray robe. Calm smile. But eyes like a hidden blade. Everyone is here. Good. He looked around the hall slowly. This year's Heavenly Lion Martial Meet has a slight change. Instant silence. Even Kui Wei narrowed her eyes. Then, Principal Zhang dropped the real announcement. Students at the 4th level of martial body are now officially eligible. And there is a special reward. A rare pause. Then, a superior yuan pill. The entire hall exploded. Teachers gasped. Students froze. Even experienced cultivators looked shaken. A superior yuan pill was not just valuable, it was life-changing. The twist. Principal Zhang continued casually, but only one person is eligible. And currently, he looked directly at Qin Yun. Only Qin Yun has registered for it. A pause. Then the final blow. So whether he passes or fails, that pill is his. Part 4. Jealousy explosion. Kui Hui's face twisted instantly. What? That's impossible. When did this rule happen? Principal Zhang smiled slightly. Oh, you missed the meeting. The one I personally called. Silence. Then embarrassment. Because everyone realized this was intentional. A trap for greedy instructors who didn't pay attention. Kui Hui's eyes turned cold. She gritted her teeth. Then suddenly, fine, we'll register too. She pulled her students forward aggressively, including Yuan Yanying, Yan Yun, and multiple elite trainees. But Principal Zhang raised a hand calmly. Registration fee. 20,000 crystal coins per student. Dead silence. Then chaos. Because more than 10 students meant over 200,000 crystal coins. Even Kui Wei froze. Part 5. The Noble Girl's Pride. Yan Yun stepped forward. Elegant. Arrogant. Born from privilege. She looked at Qin Yun with disdain. You actually think you can compete with me? Our Yan clan's movement techniques are the best in the empire. Behind her, Yuan Yanying stayed silent. She remembered Qin Yun's strength. And couldn't even meet his eyes. Because fear still lingered. But Yan Yun wasn't finished. My fiancé will win this entire tournament. The crowd immediately reacted. Fiancé? Who? Kui Wei smiled coldly. Wei Xuanqan. The moment that name appeared, the atmosphere changed. The name that changes pressure. Wei Xuanqan. Son of a Grand Master Inscription Master. Martial body 5th layer. Elite among elites. Even senior students became serious. Because this wasn't just talent. This was background plus power plus future authority. Yan Yun raised her chin proudly. First place belongs to him. Her voice echoed across the hall. Like a declaration of dominance. Part 6. The silent response. All eyes slowly turned toward Qin Yun. Waiting for reaction. Humiliation. Anger. Jealousy. Anything. But Qin Yun only smiled faintly. Then spoke. You're right. The hall went silent. Even Yan Yun paused. Qin Yun continued calmly. The Yan clan is indeed one of the top families. I've heard that for a long time. A beat. Then, his eyes sharpened slightly. But, I've also heard something else. That the higher you stand, the harder you fall. That sentence hit the hall like a blade. Silence dropped instantly. Part 7. The Hidden Storm. Kui Wei narrowed her eyes. You should be careful what you say. Offending the Duke of Yan is not a small matter. Then she smirked. Oh, and don't forget. Yan Yun is engaged to Wei Xuanqan. That name again. Pressure returned instantly. But Qin Yun didn't react. Instead, he looked forward toward the arena. As if everything else was irrelevant. Because inside him, something was awakening again. Not anger, not fear, but challenge. Finally, the ground suddenly vibrated slightly. From the entrance of the hall, a cold, powerful aura began to spread. Everyone turned instantly. Because someone had arrived. And even before they saw him, they already felt it. A true genius had entered the hall. And the Heavenly Lion martial meet was about to begin for real. To be continued.